Okay, Yensa Aka Clive Ofusuhine. Clive, good morning, and thank you for joining us on the Max Morning Show.
Good morning.
Clive, me busa se wa hunu sa video na. Ye kan ho asem ya.
Many trust kakra but now the me an intimate to me and no the bracer but many but many
photos, any videos, sir. You are a social media expert. I'm sure you know a lot about what's going on. So when you bought video be and I say photo be say ya na a DNA kind of what
Diana never married me is the fact that then a mama will be I dear Tiny Panayeno. I mean, that is the first thing that will come into my mind. So then will be teaming will be have such a private or intimate affair. Now will be a team release sad and abeto abonte and as I intend to say so a month for air share air chow margin home. For me, a idea de be a me who are yana me busa say a day in a ma obi memobi ayesade. I mean, what would be the motive of somebody to do that? Na ya na sa ne mawe no e din se me brain nam na ya na nkofo be brain no so e kire se omon sheda enim exactly how these things are leaked out, especially the people who are involved. And there are people who go to the length of making sure say information and as a near leaky on their phones, they want to find a way to make sure say they will defend it by telling you say aware of the fact that information you release that for bunting. They play the victimization game, say or no moment day no how it was released and all that. But film say a dear to say yet media better bunting a man for discuss it and will be empemwagro. I mean, morally, it is not correct. Even the act itself, morally, is not correct. But we can't talk about Obi private life in a manner that is supposed to be talked about. But as soon as it comes into the public space, you give people the opportunity to speak to those things. Sometimes, not motives, but motives need to be brief. The facts, be more the revenge. Say abia or no other and abia or person punish you and or the revenge. It don't normal, I'm revenge porn or try to revenge. And Muslims, it been so here for the fact say they also want to disgrace or shame the person that they have seen in the video. So they be adia or dia na na bi on na kan kokwemu a be wan tiase no what the way be trouble ntia mani pan we say the ositi. A lot of people do that to also disgrace and bring shame. Say the bear at the end of the day, and idea or no, I can't want to it's a way of like blackmailing the person. It's my dream with you. This is how I feel. Say, we become the basis and for first I decided we talk about it.
Social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they have a policy against that. So why don't they turn it off or bring it down or delete it or something? Educate us on that. I mean, even if you are searching something and the word SEX comes in or PORN comes in, even if it's something you are learning, they will bring the XXXX thing there. They have a policy against that. So why is it still on social media?
Yeah, they have policies against it. So if you go to the Facebook Health Center now, they will tell you, say, a lot of people, they don't allow pornography or explicit images on social media. For some reasons, they believe that it's against some people, it's against their cultural orientation. So they wouldn't even bother for people to look at it, irrespective of the fact that some countries don't have any issues with it. Other countries have issues with it. So they wouldn't even allow anybody to post those things on their handles. Or they also tell people that if by them, if it is not reported or the reviewers have not even come to the point of analyzing the video to take it down, they also encourage people to, as much as possible, take advantage of the settings that they have provided in Facebook to give more attention to the fact that there are certain things you can block from your purview, and I say from the way I'll be preventing people from so access to some possibility now a bit about timeline so. They be America say these social media companies, have policies that are more, but you realize that a lot of times, they don't actually, deal with the matters as they come on their platform immediately. Because say I could be posted to Facebook now, I was say I'm taking it down. Can immediately na nipa ni post na by via the fact saying all post na air corner they block it. Just like YouTube, so all be content juma immediately a system they analyzes the content near bad no, they will not even allow it to come out. But if you look at X recently, Omaka said they are going to allow adult content, which we spoken about it, say anything pornography and all that, and they feel say the adults should be able to express themselves as long as it's labeled or rated. But when it comes to Facebook, they talk about the policy as something that they seriously and are more infringing on it, like it is an infringement on their community policy. So people posting these nudity and explicit images on it. But sometimes it goes live, and then before they take it down, it has been, unless someone keeps reporting or the algorithms fixed it by way of the things people are talking about it, and then they take it down. But immediately, sometimes it's so difficult because if it is going through their reviewing and those things are not reviewed, sometimes I wonder whether they themselves they take some of these things, the algorithms take some of these things as seriously as they claim. But I believe when it goes and it is reported or the people begin to talk about it, they take it down, because we have seen images on TikTok and videos are circulating for weeks without being taken down. And then people keep talking about it, and then eventually the person who posted it will have to be the one to take it down. So the question is, what is then the policy of these social media handles? What is it doing? Because YouTube, such videos can't go, live immediately. I think for them, when it catches their attention in terms of whatever is being manipulated in the video, they can even block it. But as we may have it, because some of their policies not explicitly stated that they infringe on it, but it's like they will not allow some of these things to be done, because some communities are not interested. Some people too is against their religious beliefs and all that. So they will tell you to work on your settings to be able to deal with the matter until they come in. Most of these things, I believe, are there, and they will just advise you to work on the settings and make sure that those settings are effectively taken. Other than that, for me, I have a challenge, and I've written a lot of articles on those things, why they allow some of these things to go on for weeks, days, and then the person posted has to be one pressured to take it down, why it is there. So I think it is something they are working on it. It is something that I know in the future, these things are going to be, worked on. So I'm phone to me in fact, and too much entertainment about it, because it's very, very disgraceful, and it's not something that should be shared. But for now, as for X or formerly Twitter, anything like this, as long as it's labeled well, they don't have any issue with it. If you don't like it, they will tell you switch off.
All right, Clive, hold on for me whilst we speak to lawyer James Kofi Afedo to get the legal implication of everything. Lawyer, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Joy, for having me. Good morning.
Much. Okay, so in Ghana, do we have any laws prohibiting people uploading their, sex videos on social media?
Absolutely, we do have laws against that. The Criminal Offences Act prohibits such an activity, and the Cybersecurity Act also prohibits that kind of activity. It is against the law to either yourself deliberately upload such manner of video or even pictures or images onto the internet, or even share it to another person for different purposes. The law prohibits that. In fact, I don't know whether it was this lady who herself uploaded the video, but I've also seen another video of one of the guys allegedly in the sexual act boasting that they were happy to do what they have done and they would do it again and all of that. I mean, the thing is that if it is the lady herself who uploaded it, she's guilty, or she would be held before the law for that. If it is the guys who have done that, they will all have violated the law, and any other person who shares or distributes is also in violation of the law.
Okay, so do we have any cases in Ghana to set a precedence for this? So, in your law practice, when you say obi the nude photo be and I say apart from funny saying nearby ya obi de neba ebe to social media child rights for the court near there no when you da say obi the viral sex tape be and I say viral picture be nude picture be at home ya de na court. I'm a court a buano form yet nako tumunda. Ebiasida.
It is very, very rare because on most occasions we see these things, we hear these things. A lot of noise is made online on media spaces about it, and nothing happens. That's why it keeps happening all the time. I mean, take for instance, the recent incident of the journalist Sewami here. Obviously, that intimate photo or video was not meant to be circulated in public, but it came out. Well, there's a case filed in court against those alleged to be the perpetrators of that, but most of the times the cases don't end up in anything, and then we all forget about it. But there was one case that in my research I found, the Republic versus Cephas Agbebianu Anani, which happened somewhere in Po. What the fact stated was that he, through a Facebook conversation with another lady, managed to get the lady to send him her nude images or pictures. And then after getting that, he started to use that to threaten or blackmail her to pay him 2,000 Ghana cedis or have sex with him 10 times. Otherwise, he was going to release those nude images of the lady. And he actually indeed went ahead to send one of the images to the lady's friend. And the lady in this instance was very smart because when she told him that he doesn't have the money, she doesn't have the money, he said she should go and pay for a hotel so that he can meet her over there for the sexual act. And the lady reported the incident to the police. And by the time he got to the hotel, the police were already in surveillance for him. So they arrested him. And the case went to court and he was convicted and sentenced to 5 years imprisonment. And we need that to be happening on a lot of occasions. Like anytime this happens, if people are arrested, they are prosecuted and punished, and the story about their punishment comes, into the public domain, I think this nonsense will stop because it's becoming too repetitive. And most importantly, I still don't understand why people will engage in sexual acts and video the act. Why would you do that? Because anybody can get access to your phone, and when they get it and they circulate it, you are in trouble. Like there are a lot of implications you will suffer for the rest of your life. So people shouldn't do that. And if you are a victim of that, report it and pursue the case until it ends, so that we can have a lot of reported cases of this instance, and then sometimes this will stop.
You are not a police person, but I don't know whether you've had any experience. Are the police well placed to investigate this issue? Because this is in the public domain. I'm sure the police have seen it. But who is investigating?
The line has become dodgy. I can't hear you clearly.
Do we even have the capacity to do that sort of investigation to bring out the facts?
If I hear you well, you're asking if the police have the capacity to investigate who circulates and gets them.
Yeah.
I believe so. This is the police service that is able to resolve murder cases where it is even difficult to know who was responsible. They are able to use intelligence gathering and get the people arrested. Right? The police service has facilities, and I mean, a couple of years ago, we do know that the National Communication Authority actually imported some Israeli gadgets or software to track, things like this. And I think some people were prosecuted because there was some corruption involved in the procurement. But it is possible in this regime, or in this dispensation, for the police or the security services to track who actually started circulating or who leaked the video, or who has circulated it first, and who else has forwarded it, and they can get everybody in the chain. The facility is there. So I do not doubt any. I don't have any doubt at all that the police can actually investigate and get everybody in the chain of circulation and apply the law against them.
Okay, it's the social media app culpable in this case. They have policies against such videos and nudity and all of that. And even if you type, like I put to our first guest, SEX, you have to put the XX there and all of that. In this case, if it's Facebook, can the Ghana Communications Authority do something? Are they culpable?
It borders on freedom of expression, and the freedom to do business, really, or free speech. So I don't know. It's going to be a bit difficult, but it is. I think it is time for us to test the law in this place, because in the US and other places, these social media giants are actually called before congressional committees to answer questions on things that border on violation of people's dignity and all of that. And so maybe it's time for us to start building cases like this, that you have made your platform available for people to be able to share these things, and you don't have any control in trying to prevent these kinds of images being available to even people who are young than 18 years of age. So maybe we should start. And it will start from the National Communication Authority and other governmental agencies taking action against these social media institutions.
For the purposes of education, for those who, like you told us one story of a gentleman who was arrested in a hotel and was charged 5 years. For the purposes of education, if the lady was the one who uploaded, if the gentlemen involved were the ones who uploaded, and for anybody who is thinking of uploading a sex tape and all of that, what are they likely to face, apart from that 5 years that you mentioned? What else are they likely to face in court?
Yeah, so the punishment regime is in two folds. If the person who is or who has leaked the video did so as a result of trying to blackmail the victim, maybe for money or for sex or for anything else, that one, the law provides that anyone who is guilty of that offense will be sentenced to prison for a minimum of 5 years to 25 years. But if it is the case where the lady herself leaked it or anybody else distributes it, not necessarily with the intention of extorting money from or blackmailing the victim or trying to get sex from the victim, then the law treats it as a misdemeanor, which means that if you are found guilty, you'll be sentenced to a term of imprisonment between a month and 3 years in maximum.
All right, thank you, lawyer. Let's bring in Clive, our next guest. Clive, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so I put a question to lawyer, and I want to put it to you as well. Do you think, as a social media expert, that it's time for the National Communications Authority to start taking some of these social media apps, for allowing such things to go on, although they have policies against them?
Yeah, I think these issues have come up in one way or the other in in the United States, where the companies were taking on for some of the things that were posted on their platforms. And the US instituted Communication Decency Act, I think 230, and said that the platform have been decided or have been designed, but if anybody posts anything on it, whether defamation or libel or whatever, it is the one who published it that should be held responsible. The platform should not be attacked because it is only a medium and it's a public space where people are able to express themselves. So that alone protects the media platforms or the social media companies from being held responsible for the conduct of people on it. Unlike, for instance, sitting on a radio or TV saying something and the national communication media will hold you responsible. They were saying that it was going against the freedom of expression. And for that matter, if anybody who should be held responsible, then it is the person who used the platform in a manner that is not supposed to be used, that should be held responsible. So they have shielded the social media, companies from being held responsible for the conduct of people who publish a lot of things on it. So if Ghana wants to take it on a matter of policy, then it should be a matter of education and awareness, and then making sure that people that are responsible for the act that is indecent or violation of the cybersecurity laws in this manner should be held responsible. So the obi a onye we on fanadwin ko say o say de ye ni bra nyina akosue Facebook ana Instagram. It is nipa no post no on na emu no ye say ye nsaka no na ye punish no for that kind of activity na was say ye de because I remember say a lawyer Ekasim bi na pimadwin be see case bi so I think in 2022 where guy near friend Dago so what is issue na Lebanese woman be if pictures keke na one phones or repair phones or code kuhuma many naked pictures and we na adwin so be published into a frame and ko blackmail no and ma amena fee no and or ahead to publish it, and they went ahead to arrest him and prosecute him for 14 years in prison for exposing that images. I believe say if the cybersecurity system and the national communication authority are in working relationships well, this is something that we should be able to handle as a state and deal with it. Other than that, say a day Facebook and now will be court there. Yes, you can take it demo, but this also becomes international, international laws where you have to be able to now look at the jurisdiction and your jurisdiction and whatever. So it takes a lot, but what we can do is to protect our space by using the telecommunication companies, and also making sure that the people who are on it, becomes the mouthpiece for these institutions. That they speak it and then they take immediate action just to deter people. To say, ladies, money, boys, immediately na investigation and arrest takes place. Now for prosecute them immediately. Then it will deter other people. Almost what intention is they will publish some of these videos into the public domain.
All right, Clive, Nkurakuta phones. They are on Facebook, they are on TikTok, they are on Instagram, you name it. How do we protect our children from chancing on this inappropriate content? Because I'm sure, money Anna.
Yeah. There is something we keep educating parents on, making sure say you know exactly what your child is doing on mobile phones or these social media handles. We did a research and then we realized a lot of parents, their biggest problem now is what their children see, the content their children see when they go to these platforms. And because they can regulate their phones and putting their phones after 7 hours and all that. But the question is, parents do not say any social media handle and a social media somewhere you can say. The majority now live on momano to have access to their phones because on pay how akolane ha adwen enti je phone efa di agro akolane do hwe bia na maame ni ye kitchen o enti maame ni wo kitchen for 45 minutes and now 1 hour. That 1 hour no content na akoda ne hwe no den na wo hwe. And these days nkolane also have become they get to understand where to click, where to shut down, where to delete immediately when they realize that their mother is approaching or their father is approaching. The best way parents can do is that they will become involved in their children's social media lives. At least, the questions be and how is it affecting them, the things they are seeing. Majority of our parents, Facebook 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. It is a normalized life in the house. If the parents don't get involved, they don't practice what they preached, and then get their children to follow up, it will be very, very difficult for parents themselves to even target and know what their children are watching. Because other than that, and social media and now TikTok now bust some words be on the search button now. The kind of images and information that comes out is very, very, very difficult. And I believe parents should rather be involved in their children's activities and understand exactly what is going on so that they can also educate their children on the relevance and the difficulties and the challenges that comes along with these things. Now, part of the development process.
All right. And maybe now we Clive. Now, who can parental control and what's for those of you who missed it, you can always go back to Facebook and check Clive's was on the show. Clive was on the show, and we education be about protecting our children with app lock. Any sadie no. Ubefa America crazy now. Watch that parents sadie anyone can be boy pa.
Okay, so when you take your phones, then the phone that we are using now, every app has some security settings that has to be looked at. And every app you use your phone to be answered, it has some implications on your phone. So for instance, every app you have downloaded has a permission you grant. So there are some app you have now downloaded to allow access to your contact. You want to allow access to your phones. You allow it. The moment you allow it, it becomes a problem. That means that you have given the opportunity for the phone to act independently of your direction, of your discretion. Uko Facebook, uko settings, there is something called privacy, security and privacy. Just click on it, go to the feeds. Try as much as possible to limit a lot of the sensitive feeds. But over social media handles here, almost say, sometimes they don't eliminate the video. Minimum, they restrict the content from being exposed. So what it means is that the content can be on the platform, but they will restrict it. So what it means is that anybody still in future can still chance on it. Some of the videos are not so easily deleted from the platforms, but they restrict it. So the best thing that a parent can do is to work on the privacy settings. Now, I'm going to reduce a lot of harmful content because I can only need Facebook account. Facebook will be used for phone. Because who the also the back question near me so and most in no musubia na moji pamam phone and my mini Facebook no use you papa no WhatsApp no use you it we need to put in the policies very restricted and near ma any consent mo frani hu because your parents na gasa no see jane sadia then what it means they say we are exposing the children to something that it will eventually harm them.
Let's bring in lawyer. Thank you for staying on. We appreciate that so much. Lawyer James Kofi Apedo, if you can hear me, in your opinion as a lawyer, what advice will you give parents watching Max TV this morning concerning the leakage of such, illicit material? You can unmute for me so I can hear you.
The line has frozen a little bit, but I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear now. So I was asking, do you have any advice for parents watching Max TV this morning on, how to help our kids, stay away from such illicit material? And then maybe you can tell the parents something about what the law says about, minors and such sex tapes.
Yeah, so I agree completely with what Clive has said in terms of the need for parents to be more active in terms of knowing what their children are watching or what features or what apps they are accessing on the phones. It's very, very critical. What I do is after every 10, 15 minutes, I will check what exactly is being shown to the child on any app that he or she is using. But most importantly for me is this, that whether you know or not, whether you have knowledge or not, if your child accesses your social media app and accidentally uploads any of those images, you will be in trouble because you would have fallen foul of the law. So you will be in trouble. And we are not even talking about only sex videos. Even if you are the image shows you in your bikini, for example, or just your panty and your bra, and your breast can be seen through the bra, or your private part can be seen through the panty. That violates the law. And people take pictures and images with their phones. So please, you will have to restrict access to your social media accounts by your children when they are using your phone. And these days, I think that some of the cartoons they access are on YouTube Kids and other, platforms like that. And there are parental control systems that should be set up for them. Please do that. Otherwise, you'll be in your own corner, and then you have a knock on the door, and the police have come that, okay, we've seen this on your social media account. You're exposing yourself. Like it happened to the young lady, Ekapim Polo,
Yeah.
So you can be a victim, and you can be found foul of the law. Not because you chose to do that, but just because your kids were using your phone and then they accidentally put your, naked images out there.
Wow.
So we have to be careful as parents.
Okay, thank you so much, Lawyer James Kofi Apedo, for joining us on the Max Morning Show this morning.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And many thanks to Clive Ofosuhini, our social media expert, for also joining us. We appreciate these two guests for sharing their opinions on what has been going on with sex tapes and leaking, sex tapes and inappropriate videos, news, pictures, and all of that. We're going to open the phone lines now.